She is power. She is love. She is hope. She inspires. She is many journeys in one lifetime. She is the people, an individual, a never-ending story of the beauty of possibility.
I nearly didn't get into medical school, I put it that way. I got rejected from a couple of medical schools.
I was a treasury officer, went through the ranks in treasury.
You find the whole reverend thing geared towards the male.
So I had to learn now how to find my voice. I think the other thing for me would be hard work and continuous self-improvement.
My faith is everything.
Be a part of She Inspires this and every Wednesday on the I Am Drive on Sunny 88.7 FM, 8:30 a.m. and live on Facebook same time. Also join in on Sunny TV every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. She Inspires is proudly brought to you by She Inspires.
Wellness is gradually taking some good space here in this country, and on She Inspires today, I'm going to be speaking with one of Ghana's foremost wellness coaches. Her name is Ariel. My name is Jennifer. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of She Inspires. I want to appreciate our sponsors, Hotel Kasareri for this lovely location. Also, Duffy's Health and Beauty, Sir Ban for my gorgeous outfit, Ajile Jewelry, Royal Peaches Glam, and Eddie's Pizza. Stay with us here on She Inspires. Well, guess who I have on She Inspires today is the well-known wellness coach, Ariel. And she's also called Olivia. And I'm going to ask her, which one do you prefer today, Olivia or Ariel?
I prefer Ariel.
Ariel. Where did that one come from? Is that the name your parents gave you, or you kind of picked it up along the way, as some people do?
I picked it up along the way. My company is Ariel's Haven.
Okay.
And Ariel was a name I love so much. I almost gave it to my son, and everybody was like, it's the name for a soap. And so I finally didn't give it to my son. But now I'm about to add it to my names.
Okay.
Yeah,
about
officially into my documents as Ariel.
So then what would the full name be?
It will be Olivia Ariel Mamle Donkor.
Mamle Donkor. And Ghana and the world know you as the bubbly, strong wellness coach. But tell me more about who Olivia is.
So Olivia is a girl who started life, dreaming of all the good things. And dreaming of all the good things because I read a lot of magazines growing up. So I saw a lot of things growing up, and I wanted the good life growing up. But I wasn't raised in that atmosphere.
What was the picture of a good life to you?
A picture of a good life to me is somebody who lives in freedom.
At the time.
Lives in freedom and is able to make her own decision and go after their dream. So that was what I wanted. But my father was extremely strict. So growing up, I had to lie for so many things I wanted to do. And that is why I give my daughter a space not to lie to me. I had to lie to go to the library. I had to lie to go to church. I had to lie to go see friends. And I started modeling and doing adverts, and sometimes I had to lie before I can go shooting. And it became too much for me, so I had to stop all this modeling thing and this advert thing because I couldn't continue lying.
Why do you think your father was so strict? Was he trying to protect you because of a past experience he knows of maybe a woman in his life growing up also as a young man or a sister? Or why do you think that came up?
I think, in the past, our parents always think, go to school, become that lawyer, doctor. That was all they saw. So when you try to go into other areas, it doesn't go like the good girl thing for them. So he was just strict. We have to be home all the time. Have to be home.
If you're not in school.
If you are not in school, you have to be home. And I'm an outdoor person. I love going out. I love being outdoors. So it got to a point, growing up, I was depressed and became anemic.
At which age was that?
I was in secondary school.
Which school were you?
For a penny in secondary school. But I consciously decided I'm going to create a lifestyle that gives me that freedom and power to become the kind of woman I want to be.
That was as a young woman growing up?
That was as a young woman growing up.
When you talk about depression and getting tired of the lies,
yeah,
how weighty was that for you, such that you got to a point you said, I'm tired of this?
Yes, because I wasn't free. one of the things I'll say is I'm going to visit my cousin at Tema. And so I'll go to Tema in the day, but I'll leave there around 4 to go to the modeling, and it ends late in the night. And then I'll get home late, and the impression I'm giving them is like I've been with my cousin at Tema all this while. But it was weighty, and programs were coming, and I couldn't come up with the lies anymore. I love freedom. I love peace.
Was your mom aware that you...
My mom is an illiterate, so
Okay.
I am a very good candidate to have ended up in Makola.
Okay.
Because my mom was an illiterate, though she wanted her to go to school, there was nothing beyond that for her. So she didn't know about all this, she didn't care. She just wants you to eat and clothe and be there as far as you're satisfied. That was my mother's side. But I learned a lot from her, focus, her business, minded, going after what she wants and all that. So being an illiterate mom, I couldn't go to her to get my father to change his position.
Okay.
So my father was strict on all of us. It wasn't just
siblings do you have?
I have quite a lot. My father
Put a number to it.
practiced polygamy.
Okay.
So I have quite a lot of step siblings, maybe we are about 12 or 15.
Okay.
But for my mother, we were 4.
My mom grew up with 16 other siblings, I think, 12 or 16. 12
Wow.
or 16. I have just 2 though. Okay. So at the point where you said, you know what, I'm tired of the lies, and you had to say no to all these offers you were getting.
Yeah.
How did life progress for you?
So I wanted to do law, but I didn't get the grace to go into the university to do law. And then our parents don't have much options for you if you don't get to go into the university. So my parents couldn't come up with something for me after not getting the grace to go do law. And I was like, odontology and all the other things, I'm not doing it. So I was chatting with a friend who introduced me to airline ticketing. Okay. And so I decided, well, I'm a people's person, and that's why I want to do law. So I meet people, defend people. So I decided to go and do the airline course. And that was where my professional journey into aviation started. I went to Ghana.
Your dad was fine with
He was fine with this. I tried to become an air hostess about 2 times, but those times you need to know someone in politics to push you to get to be an air hostess at Ghana Airways.
Okay.
I go through all the interview to the last. And the women will tell me that because you don't know anybody, they take you out and put someone else there. Okay. So I said, okay, if I don't get to go to be an air hostess, I can be a ground hostess. So I did the ticketing, passenger handling, and customer service courses with airline. And I started working, and that was how I worked with Alitalia, Delta Airlines, Virgin Atlantic, British Airways, Passion Air, Talo, aviation section, and all that. Yeah.
And you were in the aviation industry for how many years?
I was in aviation for about 22 years.
Wow. But so by this time, had you started a life as marrying children, or?
Yes. When I started work at Alitalia, I had just met my husband.
How did you meet him?
I met him at church.
Wow. Okay.
I met him at church, and I was young. I wanted so much freedom, and so when I met my husband, I thought it was the way to get away from my father's restriction.
By this time, were you still in the aviation industry?
I had just gone into aviation. I had just finished the course, still living with my parents.
Okay.
I just finished the course and started an attachment with Nigeria Airways, which was folding up at the time.
Okay.
So it was just a short period to do an attachment. And then I met him and we started dating. A woman in business, having his shop, a 2-bedroom apartment. I was like, this is freedom. I'm going to run away from daddy's restriction.
Okay.
So sometimes some reasons we look at to go into relationship may not be too good because there are other sides you need to look at. Okay. I saw my husband's temperament. I saw his weaknesses. I saw all his other sides, the red flags, let me put it. But I was just interested in the freedom I was going to get by living my father's restriction.
It was much greater than the red flags you were seeing.
Yes, but I wish I had rather looked at the red flags instead of rushing to leave my father's restriction. My father meant well.
Yes.
And due to his restriction, I can say I've also become a better person by some of the restriction that he put on us growing up. It made us be cautious of some of the things that if we were given all the lights, we would have gone into. So it was good that he was strict, but sometimes there needs to be balance.
There has to be a balance.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about the red flags, there was not a little moment when you were a bit hesitant?
I at some point, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
And you know, back then, there were not much of counseling and that support when a woman finds a man. And I started sleeping at his place. And then when my father found out, the requirement is if you're not coming home and you're staying with a man, he has to come and marry you or show his face and do the right thing so that when you go, we know you are safe. And we know where to find you. And so I said, okay, I want to go. So I made him come to see my parents. And though I was still hesitant, I was still after that freedom. And I married a man who also didn't want to give me freedom. My husband always says, she wants to have freedom. But I sit down and I say, what is I want to have freedom? Is marriage a prison? It is not.
When you say that you wanted freedom and yet ended up marrying someone who was not going to give you freedom, had you told him that was the reason why, or he just gathered from your attitude?
My attitude that I like to have my freedom.
So Olivia, how do you think that we can go so hard at searching for something and yet get into what gives us the opposite of it? How do you think that happens?
I'm glad you've asked that question. And it's because of our beliefs. When you have a belief of something you don't like, you're always thinking about it, and that's the very thing you attract. Because what you are consciously thinking about is what you are always attracting into your reality. That's how the mind works. The subconscious controls the conscious. But the conscious only can impress upon the subconscious by if you consciously think about what you want, not what you don't want. So I was thinking of, I don't want to be restricted. And I went straight into somebody who wanted to restrict me worse than my father did.
So you two got married?
We got married.
And how was life as a married woman in a restricting life from, should I say from frying pan to fire? Because you're away from running from, you ended up in the same soup.
In the same soup. It was worse. Because a parental love and restriction was better than in a marriage restriction where two people coming from different backgrounds, different mindsets, different beliefs, different way of living. But where I grew up, and these are some of the things that we need to know when we go into relationship, the differences of our upbringing can play a huge role and can become the reason why we have conflict.
How did that impact you as a person, your work? Did it have any impact on you?
It did. And so at some point, I lost myself. I started believing in the negative message he sends me, that I lost my self-worth. I couldn't know who I am. I couldn't know my worth and all that. But something happened one day. I was at work and somebody gave me a compliment and I turned. It was like an aha moment. Somebody saw something good in me and I couldn't believe it was me. I thought it was somebody else. And that woke me up that I am believing a different picture of myself that I am not. When I go to work, it's like a therapy for me. I am good at my job. I've never been queried on any of the 8 companies or 6 companies I worked with.
So you're going to get some hires.
Yes, I've never been queried. I'm always good at what I do. And it was a therapy because home was not that peaceful for me. So when I come to work at my best self, I gave my all to work. So I realized I had 2 personalities. When I go home, I'm the broken, afraid, worthless girl, and then I succumb to that. When I come to work, and then I'm all that other character. So one day I'm like, no.
Did you go through the struggle all by yourself? Did you share with friends and family?
I couldn't share with anybody. I couldn't share with my family. That's the sad part of it. I couldn't share this with anybody.
There was no close friend you could at least pour out your heart to?
The only friend I could share with, us was young and didn't understand.
Wouldn't get it.
Wouldn't get it. So it was a struggle I went through mostly alone. Until at some point after my second child that, things started opening up and my family members started knowing what was going on. So it was tough. One day I realized I can't be a different person at work and go home and be a different person. I need to hold on to the person I know I am.
Okay.
So I started going home and giving myself that space of, I'm good, I'm worthy, I matter. So I'm going to relax in this house. I'm going to start taking care of myself in this very atmosphere that I find myself in.
And you say that started, or that emanated from the compliment you had from work?
From a compliment I have from somebody. I've never forgotten that experience.
How did that change things coming home when now you're decided, I can't be this dual person? This is who I choose to be. I'm going to be that person at work and at home. Did that affect the atmosphere at home in any way?
Yes, I think it did. I stopped so many things. I stopped asking for the things I realized I wouldn't be giving, and I started saying I will give them to myself.
Okay.
So I gave myself permission to take care of myself. And while I was coming here, I'm always writing quotes.
Okay.
Things come up for me and I write them to put in my book. And what came up for me is, our circumstances and our challenges and trials does not determine the result of our life. How we nurture ourselves, take care of ourselves, manage ourselves in that situation is what determines the result we come out with. Because if I look at the things I went through, I can't believe I'm still here doing what I'm doing and living this life of freedom I've created for myself. I call myself, I live a life I don't need a vacation from.
You always say that. Let's talk about, marriage with the 2 children, the challenges you were going through. I know you are a single parent now. How did things advance after coming back to say, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, and started taking care of yourself and all that? How did things advance in the marriage going forward?
So if you're in a toxic relationship, 2 things happen. Either the person will also rise and grow with you because they realize that, yes, this is a good path, I'll also rise and go, or they decide to fall out. So my husband decided to fall out because I wasn't the crying girl. I almost became alcoholic, just trying to get him to have sympathy. So I was drinking alcohol to get drunk and become stupor, to get his attention, his sympathy. It wasn't coming. It would not come. And I realized I can't do this forever. After my second child, I read a book, and that was the time I started making my transformation and turning myself around and saying that, hey, it's done. I have to save me.
Okay. So what did you do?
I decided to save myself. I decided to give myself permission to live the lifestyle I want.
So, and continue to stay in the marriage?
And continue to stay in the marriage. And this was my decision. I wasn't brought up in a broken home.
Okay.
Though my father had other wives, I lived with my mom and my dad. So I wanted to give my children the same until they were 18. That was my decision.
Okay.
But as I was sharing, because I became empowered and I wasn't giving him the fuel for his toxicity, he couldn't stand my space of positivity.
Okay.
Where I wasn't complaining, why are you not doing this? Because I was doing everything I want to make my life as comfortable as possible.
You wanted. Okay.
And so my husband walked out.
When you say walked out, like you went to work, came, or you were at home and he packed his bags? And you're laughing. I'm sure you weren't laughing then. Or
I wasn't laughing then. I wasn't laughing then.
How did he leave?
Okay, so it was in 2013 when the Virgin Atlantic had made us all redundant, and I didn't have a job. And I requested some changes in our environment. I'm environmentally conscious where I sit by spaces. So it was a bit cluttered, and I requested that, can we clear the clutter? He got upset, and that was how it started. He left and didn't come back. I tried to reach out, and he didn't come back for a week. And at that point, I was so grown in my Christian life. I knew who I was in Christ. And I said, if somebody walks out of your life, let them go. Their story or their part in your life is over. You don't have to beg them to stay. And that was about the 3rd time my husband was walking out.
Okay.
And I'm like, you have a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful kids, strong woman, doing so much. If you can't see my worth, I can't force you to. And I'm not going to go through this, reconnection by force again. So I just decided to leave it at that point. Yeah.
And not having a job.
And I didn't have a job then.
How were you taking care of the children? Or was he lending some support?
So 2 years, I didn't get any support. But when Virgin closed down, I've had a dream from 2003 to open a salon and a spa. I never got his approval, never got his support, but that was the time I decided to go after my dream. So everything I did after 2014 to where I am now as a certified wellness coach, I did it alone. I didn't have a man in my life that I can say I had a husband or a boyfriend or somebody or a big man who, it was me and Christ.
Wow. Olivia, you talked about the point of working out and you realizing who you are in Christ and all. Let's talk about how you came to build your faith in God.
From that time, I started developing this deep intimacy with Christ, that if I can't go to church, then if I have to be home with him, I have to hold on to him well.
Okay.
And that was when I realized that I can have Christ with me everywhere.
Okay.
But my spiritual growth and my connection with God has not changed. It's even actually growing stronger and stronger, because I know it's not about being in church, but the personal relationship with God. And I'm loving how I am, where I am in Christ now. I'm loving it.
This is She Inspires with Ariel, your favorite wellness coach, and I'm just loving her sharing her story right from her heart with us. We're going to be talking about Ariel's having a business she started and what it has transitioned into. In the meantime, I want to appreciate our sponsors, Saraban for my clothing, also Hotel Kasareri for this location, and Duffy's Health and Beauty. They're into feminine and skincare products. These are 100% natural. Also, Eddie's Pizza and Royal Peaches Glam. Stay with us here on She Inspires. We'll be right back with more of Ariel.
Daffy's or human you. Daffy's or human feminine mischanty. A massa bosomene so Emma. Ye bui and sa yente ya ubia. A san siesi man kasa. Daffy abusiana ekese. Yentie dia man for kafa and nupano.
Daffy's shower gel. And pour na money. You wotun dear. And a cocoa dear. What did Jaria? And my natural look.
Mesu de misu Daffy's feminine cleanse and then a capsules ne CSM. And my main think carboni be a me Jimmy who dear and cassa.
Daffy nupano. And one dance here be Daffy sana. Aba my yenina. And kratoi FD you show my jatu say.
Elegance, comfort, pristine, relaxing. Welcome to Hotel Kasareri, located in the heart of East Legon, Accra. Perfect home away from home. With incomparable attention to detail, we have mastered the unique culture of Ghanaian hospitality. Treat yourself to delicious local and continental dishes from our 24-hour restaurant and take a cold swim to relieve your stress. Call Hotel Kasareri today on 0540 348876 for a truly royal experience.
Welcome back to She Inspires with Ariel, the wellness coach. Ariel, so you were talking about Ariel's Haven.
Yes.
Single mom, 2 children, starting a business.
Redundant.
Yeah.
So I had a dream to start a wellness spa and salon in the year 2003, right after I had my daughter.
Okay.
And the vision comes to me sometimes when I'm sleeping, and I'll get up and I'll write. If I show you the document I created for my spa and salon, at that time there was none in Ghana. You'll be amazed how I got that information. But I had just finished reading a book by Miles Monroe, Understanding, Releasing, and something of your potential, releasing your potential. And the book really did a lot of work on me. So my inspiration and my creative thoughts keep coming, and I'll write everything I wanted down. And I started telling my husband about it. He was also busy with his dreams, the things he wanted to do. He gave no ear. So at some point I just left the subject, but the dream didn't die.
Right inside
the
there.
dream was right in there from 2003 till 2013. 10 good years before I went back to do it. And when Virgin left, I asked myself, I've saved some money. Should I go buy an apartment, or should I invest it in my passion, my dream? And I decided I would rather invest it in my dream. So I rented a place, a 3-bedroom house, opened and created a very beautiful spa spa and salon. It had all the privacy, the ambience of home. It was right beside the beach. It was so beautiful, and I managed it while I was still working, because I was still not that grown to trust that I could stand on my business alone.
Okay, so though you had been redundant for 2 years, you had found some other job.
I found some other job on the side. I got British Airways on a contract, so I was still working with British Airways when I was managing the spa
and running.
And running the spa. So I'm only there full time on weekends. Weekdays I have to do 8 to 5.
Wow.
So I was doing 8 to 5 and managing the spa for like 4 years.
Wow.
Until I was having rent issues and had to close the spa.
For an entrepreneur, you had used your money saved to set up a business. After 4 years rent issues, you have to close it down. Was that like a walk on the path to do?
Nope.
Take us through that moment of
having
to shut down your baby you've built.
It was not easy. I started looking for partners. I started looking for support. I wasn't getting it. And the pressure that was coming on me from my landlord was so much. Now I was asking God, what should I do? Direct me, guide me. And you can't make a decision when you are in fear. Fortunately, I had to be transferred to work in Takoradi for some time. So I left my usual environment and I was at Takoradi.
Did you go with your children?
No, I'll go Monday to Friday and I come to Accra for the weekend.
So who was helping with the children?
My niece was helping with the children.
Okay.
I've had a very good family support when it comes to raising my kids.
Okay.
So while I was in Takoradi, the Holy Spirit was ministering to me. If somebody pumped money into this and you're unable to, get the business to grow to pay the money, then you are just, getting yourself wrapped up in more problem. So I made a decision that after Christmas, this was around October, after Christmas, I would close down and look for a different place. And then my landlady, had her own plans and locked us out after 4 months of not paying my rent in November. And I said, if you locked us out, 1 week she wouldn't open the gates for us. So I just said, this is it. It wasn't easy, but I knew God can turn all things to work together for our good. And then I had started the wellness message. That wellness was a lifestyle, a way of living. And that is what I created for myself from 2006 to 2012. So I had started advocating for wellness, started doing programs on wellness and all that. And I was planning to get certified. So at some point I was like, God wanted me to take my mind off this to focus on the bigger picture of bringing the wellness thing I actually wanted to give in the spa, bring it more home to people as a lifestyle.
Okay.
In the spa, it's just an added therapy. But if you get wellness as a lifestyle, you don't sometimes even need a spa if you are living rightly. So I realized there's a bigger picture more why things happen. And so I give myself the peace to know that I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I realized that dream. It was not easy I needed a generator, with sometimes electricity problems, with sometimes water problem and all that. But I went through it. I lived that dream I wanted to have. And when I look at the pictures and the things I used to write at that time, I'm proud of myself, even though I had to shut down at some point.
Wow. Would you remember your first speaking engagement when you decided to go into being the wellness coach away from the spa you had built?
Yes. My first speaking engagements when I finally closed the spa and had to talk, I did one with Dr. Bachman.
Okay.
But the one that was more formal was with the Canadian Embassy.
Okay.
They were doing a women networking program, and that was just when I've got certified as a wellness coach. And when I was going, I was so afraid, because when I did my course and got certified, I realized wellness was big.
It was much bigger than you thought.
Bigger than I thought. And here is this me, one person saying, I want to advocate and educate and bring this awareness to the whole country. So I was going to speak at this program at Golden Tulip for the Canadian ambassador. The Canadian ambassador was there. She came and she gave a welcome address. She said something that is still lying on my heart. She said, I'm happy for everybody who is here. And I'm very happy that there's a wellness coach here, because my position here, becoming an ambassador and becoming a diplomat and traveling all over the world, was because I had one session with a wellness coach.
Wow. How did that make you feel?
In fact, my 5 inches high heel became 10 inches high heel that day. Because everywhere I go to share the wellness message, there was a lot of resistance. People didn't want that. They have to take responsibility. People didn't want it. People want to justify why they can't do what they had to do.
That's true.
And truthfully, when I stood and gave my message, all the ladies were like, no, we are struggling with our business and this. So how can I lift my leg and drink tea? And everybody was, no, we don't want.
Walk at the beach as Olivia
we don't
does.
want wellness. We don't want it. But as they were asking the question, the ambassador's comments had filled me with confidence.
Okay.
So I was answering and flowing. Then the other panelists started commenting and answering the questions with my perspective of what I'm telling them as a business owner.
Okay.
If you are not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of that business. If you're not nurturing yourself, that business can't thrive because you are the source of the business. If you are empty, everything you're doing is not at your best creative self. And there are testimonies of people who can leave their business and go having fun. And when they come back on the job, they are at their best self.
So how do you feel about the impact that has been made within this period, 6 years?
I feel so great about it. And as I said, when I jumped finally from formal working, 2020, knowing I was going to go out there, COVID came, but I still kept on because I saw the impact. A lot of people are now believing in the wellness awareness that there is a way of living, and that way of living, you need to take conscious steps to optimize your well-being, optimize your health, your mind, your body, your spirit. And it's something you have to do consciously.
Olivia, so I've been looking at how far you've come, having to raise 2 children. How old are the children now?
My daughter will be 20 in May.
Oh, they are big women.
Yeah.
Big women,
But when I became a single parent 9 years ago, they were very young.
Okay.
Yeah. My son is 16.
Okay.
He's going to senior high. My daughter is in the university, UPSA. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Olivia, how did you manage as a single parent? I'm sure there's some single moms probably watching us, maybe some single dads as well.
Yeah.
Particularly, how, as a woman, how do you raise a boy to become, the kind of man society needs? Because I feel it's a tough one for a woman to do this by herself.
It is. It's not easy. I don't think I've done so great being a single parent, raising my kids. I've done the best I could with what I had. As I shared, I had a good family support, so I have an extended family that supports me. So my family is very close with my children. But to be a single parent, one of the things I would say I didn't do so well is I didn't teach my children to get so much no from me. I gave them more yeses than no. If I had to start over again, I would teach them how to get no's from me. But that was the best
came from
I
a place
could.
where there was a lot of no's, so you kind of switched over to the
but that was
extreme
the
end.
best I could do at that time. I didn't want them to be affected psychologically. That is only mommy, and so mommy can't take care of us, so mommy is struggling. So as much as they didn't feel the difference of daddy not being there, I still always talk to them as if daddy was there. Sometimes they'll be doing something, I'll say, don't do that because I can't explain the results to daddy. I can't explain to daddy. I can't explain to daddy that. My friend always see me and they just make a joke out of it. I can't explain to daddy. So it was not easy. But because I wanted them to feel loved, I gave them lots of yeses.
Okay.
That right now, if I'm given the chance to go back, I will teach them a more balanced yes and no atmosphere.
Olivia, what would you say are your top 3 lessons for our listeners and viewers on She Inspires today?
My top 3 lessons is don't turn your story into a victim story.
Okay.
You are not a victim. God did not intend that whatever you are going through makes you a victim. He said we are victorious through everything. So it's a mindset shift. It's a mindset thing. If you're crying and making everybody sympathize and pity you, you're going to play victim to get that kind of response from people.
Okay.
And there should be a balance, because at some point too, you can become so focused that you can't be needy. I have difficulty being needy. Because before you think I thought, I'm solving my problems, you know, I have to go, because there was nobody making decisions for me for a very long time since I completed school. So it was something I had to develop. But don't let your story make you a victim. You are not a victim. And then my second advice is that as a woman, we can achieve, we can be and become everything we want to be if we keep our focus. And not just a focus on where we are going, but a focus believing that Christ is with us. With Christ in the boat, you can go anywhere. You can walk on water. I mean, and I want to say to people to not be afraid. We are too much afraid. We let fear control our decisions. But when the Bible said, I give unto you love, power, and a sound mind, but not fear, it means without love, power, and a sound mind, you can't live in the positive environment of God. So my state of living every day is living in love. I love everybody, whether I know you, whether I don't know you, chicken, goat, dog, everybody. I love and talk to them from a place of respect and love.
Okay.
And so my atmosphere and the energy I create for myself is peaceful, freedom, and love all the time. And it's a choice.
Okay.
Wellness is a choice. You have to make the choice to live in ways that sustain you. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You may not be doing the right thing, but it beholds my spirit to grow by doing the right thing. So your reaction should be appraised. That if Jennifer offends me and I react in an offensive way, what do I get from that?
Okay.
So I want to be peaceful. It's my value. So I choose peace with Jennifer all the time.
That's lesson 2.
That's lesson 2. My lesson 3 is that there's so much out there for women. I want to let women know all the women empowerment thing is good, but sometimes when we follow the women empowerment thing, we also miss the space that is available for us now to take, because we are fighting for somebody to move from where they are. What is already taken is already taken. What is available, how best can we use it? How best can we use what has been left for us? And as I shared, if you're focused with what you want to do, the circumstances, the situation, the people, the things you need to be able to go where you want to go will come. And once you start seeing testimonies, and then it will be inspiring you to go on your way. There's no need fighting to get what we want. We have to take what we will have and use it to our advantage.
Take what you have and use it to your advantage. Yeah. I don't know whether you've ever been asked this anywhere, but so far, you being single, putting together a masterclass for married women, you haven't hit any resistance. Anybody saying, I mean, what's a single woman?
And when they are hearing my testimony, and people send me WhatsApp and they're like, we so love you.
Okay.
Because they can relate to what I've been through, and the fact that these are some of the tools I use to go through some of the things I went through, and it's really transforming married women.
Awesome.
Yes, I love the concept of marriage. I'm not resisting it. I'm trying to now let people know what they can do to make it better.
Make it better. This is She Inspires. We've been with Ariel, the wellness coach. It's been such an inspiring time with you. You really are befitting us, I guess, for She Inspires today. Thank you all for joining us. A big thank you to our sponsors, Hotel Kasareri, for this location. Duffy's Health and Beauty, thank you for constantly having our bags on She Inspires. Also, Saraban, thank you for my outfit today. Ajele Jewelry, thank you very much for my jewelry as well. And also Eddie's Pizza, thank you to all the amazing sponsors. And thank you to you for joining us on She Inspires today. Thank you all for staying with us on She Inspires. Be sure to catch us next week for another inspiring, wonderful episode of She Inspires with another inspiring woman of our time. I'm Jessica Danquah. See you next time. Bye-bye.